Okay, welcome to part 3 of the little Giorgiana Terry build, 650B conversion. Sort of left off a little weird last time. I've done a little bit of work, but I didn't want to get in the last video. I put this 8-speed KMC chain on with an 8-speed cheapo cassette, an 8-speed, well, I think it's probably really a 10-speed, 9-10 speed front narrow wide red anodized chain ring. But the chain's real wide and it's like rubbing the cage in some gears. There might be part of a thread sticking out. I might be able to get one little skinny washer in here to move the derailleur pulleys away from the cage a little bit more. But really, what I'm going to try first is not use this 8-speed chain. This Dura stuff's weird because it has 9-speed cable pull. It was the last year I did 9. So you can't mix and match shifters with Dura. You have to use a 9-speed shifter on an 8-speed setup if you want to use some random old shifter or bar end or whatever. But I have the correct Dura 8-speed shifter. I think I'm going to go to 10-speed chain. I was looking into it and it looks like 10-speed chains are quite a bit narrower on the outside, maybe a little bit on the inside. A millimeter, millimeter and a half, 0.2, I don't remember. I was reading it and posting it all here so you can see. So I might shake it up a little bit between that and like a 1 millimeter spacer on the inside. Hopefully it'll buy me the room I need, if I need it at all. Maybe this old 8-speed chain's just real wide and a jerk. Maybe it's just the cable pull. Maybe I can fiddle with it. I mean, these anodized red alloy pulleys are probably 10 speed, so maybe they're actually narrower too. So maybe it's letting the chain move around a lot more and rubbing on the inside of this cage right here. So that's what I'm going to do next. I'm going to take this 8-speed chain off, put a 10-speed chain on. And right before I do that, I want to talk about something that happened that's really cool in the first video. Someone who watched the video and commented actually worked with Giorgiana Terry and Terry Cycles back when this bike was made. So if you read his comment, it sounds like he was in New York and building wheels for them and was friends with and rode bikes with the head wheel builder. And he says that these Terrys were not made by Serrata, but Terry had a small frame building factory, and her head frame builder used to work at Serrata, or her frame builder used to be the head builder at Serrata, or whatever. But it's just so cool in the bike world that so many cool people stay with it in some way or another. And there's a bunch of old frame builders and old retired guys who did all this cool stuff and invented all this stuff and brought it all up, who are still like on Facebook and in random groups, and you can just chat with them and stuff. Like, just be like, "Oh, hi, Jim Merz, how's it going? Cool picture. Like, I saw Jim Merz the other day." You're like, what? And I guess he went on to help design all the nicest frames for Specialized and all that stuff, and made some of the best custom bikes in the 70s. And so a lot of these dudes are still around, and it's so cool that he actually watched my video and was there to comment. Some other people don't think that 650 conversions are cool on old road bikes, but that's fine too. Teach their own. You can build bikes any way you want, which is what's kind of great about them. As long as you can make things work and figure it out. But I think this conversion is super dope. I think 650B is kind of the truth. I think 27 1/4 is kind of the truth, and no one agrees with me on that. I think 700 by 23 is the least truth possible, the most culty thing in the world. Small tires roll faster. No, they don't. They just white knuckle your ride so you feel like you're going faster because it's so horrifying to ride that high pressure, horrible roads and pick up glass and get flats. And it's like a lot of rich guys here buy things that are all wrong, like carbon rims that want to be built with high tension spokes and fancy hubs that can only be built with low tension spokes, and they're breaking their spokes and it makes them feel tough. They're making their hubs come out of adjustment, shearing stuff off. You're like, oh, I'm just such a manly rider. Like, no, you just buying like kind of poorly designed, poorly quality Gucci parts that aren't legit. People are always telling me how great this handmade hub is or this thing, and I'm like, every time I've ever had a customer with that stuff, all they do is come loose and be out of adjustment and shear things off and have nothing but finicky problems just because you paid 4 times as much for it as a Shimano part, and it's made in America instead of Japan or Malaysia or wherever. It doesn't actually make it better. I mean, it's cool to support American stuff, I guess, and real tradesmen and craftsmen, but I've had some friends who worked at some of these factories. They're saying like 50% of the guys who work there never Not one thing they ever machined or make passes quality control. It gets on the floor. Like there's, everything's got problems. I'd rather have a Taiwanese thing that costs a quarter as much, that's twice the quality, made by guys who are pros. Like, I was just watching this interview with Adam Sklar from Sklar Bikes on Path Less Pedaled, and he said a bunch of stuff I thought was really great. Like, he's having a bunch of stuff made in Taiwan, and the same factory in Taiwan that makes, like, basically everybody's stuff. Like, 90% of the decent bikes are out on the roads, like the Surleys and all Cities and Crusts and all that stuff are all pretty much made in this one factory. And, they're talking about the mythos of the handmade custom bike, and yeah, I think some frame builders do really incredible, nice work, and they use the highest end tubes and dropouts and modify things and make things fit in smart ways. But those Taiwanese guys, man, they're welding, more frames a week than most frame builders would do in a decade or maybe even their whole career. So those guys know a lot. It's like, yeah, these guys like dimple this stays and they do it so fast. They have the machine set up so they can do like 100 stays in an hour. I'm like, yeah, that's all they do. They just dimple that stay over and over and over again. They're not building the whole bike from scratch. They're not reimagining things. They're figuring out how to make things as factory and efficient as possible, using lower quality, heavier materials to save money. Like, they're not as worried about peak performance as they are about factory efficiency. So there's still a trade-off with all this kind of stuff. Like this Giorgiano Terry bike does not feel like there's any trade-offs on it. This is nice tubes. It is lightweight. Geometry is rocking. The attention to detail is fantastic. The lug lines are so crisp. The fork crown's so thin and light. Like, it is nice. The finishing details are nice. Like, this was made by a frame builder, not a factory worker. It's pretty hot. Like, if you ever see pictures from the Nitto factory, it's a bunch of old, chubby, middle-aged Japanese ladies, probably in their 50s or 60s, or professional factory workers, bending those handlebars and brazing the racks and stuff. And they're just sitting in one little station doing a little factory job. They're not, doing everything from scratch and doing artisanal stuff and using the best stuff. And it's a factory job. It's cool, but it's not the same. And in some ways it's way better, and in some ways it's not. Why am I ranting about all this? I don't know. I just thought it was cool that I got this guy to make these comments, and it's neat to learn the more intricate nuances of things, because like having some old guys tell me these were Serrata-made Terrys, that's kind of true. It's an oversimplification. If Terry had her own factory and the head builder from Serrata came and built the bikes for her, is it Serrata-made? No, but also kinda. That's just neat. But let's try some more wing nutty stuff, like putting a 10-speed chain on this 8-speed derailleur and cassette. I also went to the Sunday salvage sales yesterday and bought a whole bunch of stuff. I did a video on it yesterday. They did not have any XTR gray brake housing. They said their main shop did, but I didn't want to travel a couple miles out of my way. I want to get home and do stuff and be depressed. So if I get that far, maybe I'm going to run down to a couple of shops tomorrow. I'm going to go look at some shop space in a big communal space. It's like an old bookstore, and the guy died, I guess. Maybe his kid's running it. It's got Bikes for Humanity in there now, and apparently they have some, random allotments of space in the back for some other little guys to have shop space, some other bike mechanics and stuff. So maybe I'll get some space in there, but I think I'm about to lose my house, so I don't know where I'm going to end up or move, so I don't know if I want to settle on some space someplace if I end up moving across town or across state. Wouldn't mind being someplace a little slower, but be scared to lose out on all the good things about Portland, like Sunday salvage sales. So we'll see. Everything's all in flux. It's the problem with being poor. But let's do this bike. In worst case, like I said before, I'll just use some black housing for the brakes and I'll change it later. I still haven't ordered red dust caps. I still haven't got my red valve caps. I need to go look harder and try and find the red anodized jam nuts and pay too much for them. But I think I can get this chain and shifting done. I still haven't gotten the pedals I want. I really kind of think I'm going to buy some cheesy red anodized mountain bike pedals. I keep not wanting to because they're like $25 to $50. But I can throw some junk pedals on here. I do have a couple of Terry saddles I'm going to put on here and try out. Got the front rack, got the dynamo lighting. There's so much to do this video. Let's do it, bro. All right, I got some options for chains. I got a KMC 10-speed chain. I love KMC chains. They're basically the only thing I ever stocked at the shop. They're inexpensive, they're really high quality, they're really long lasting. They make cool ones, like hollow plates and gold anodized and stuff, but this one I think I got at a swap meet. It's open, it's probably missing a link, it might be missing the quick release, I don't know. I have another one brand new in the box too, I can always grab, but I figured I might try this weird one first. I recently got these from Tomcat. He bought them up from Gladys when they closed. FSA and IRD. I have no idea if either of these are good. I never used either of them. IRD, I'm kind of hit or miss on. I think some of their stuff's kind of cool, and some of it's totally wingnutty and expensive and weird. It's dark gray. It looks like it doesn't actually have the finish, maybe just the grease on it, so there's no like chrome or protection. It's not really floating my boat. I was really hoping one of these would be gold or cool. I used to have pink, like new old stock pink toe straps on my old rando bike, and KMC made a 10-speed chain with like pink inner plates. It was like some breast cancer awareness chain, and I always thought that was kind of fun to have a couple of little things. See, this FSA one is like chrome plated. It's bright and silver. Oh, I kind of like it, man. Is it more cool than this KMC? Not at all. It'd be my backup choice. I got the stuff at half off, so basically wholesale. So, hey, Quick Link, where you at? I see you. Cool Park MLP 1.2 Quick Link pliers. They're great for going in and popping Quick Links open and popping them closed. A lot of these tools only pop them closed, not really pop them open, or vice versa. And that's silly. I did remove one link from this chain. It probably doesn't matter. I think I've removed one link from every chain I've ever installed on a bike ever. So, being short won't bother me. I'll save it for something else. Unless you're doing like a Rivendell, in which case you need like a chain and a half because their stays are insane. Some people like that. I think it's crazy. Uh-oh, I'm not seeing a Quick Link unless it's on the chain. Is this chain hooked together? Yeah, it is. So someone tried to install this on something and then changed their mind for some reason. It's kind of covered in dog hair. It's definitely been on a dirty bench or floor. Like, whatever. Everything I own is kind of covered in dog hair. Maybe I can kind of wipe it down. It's got that gross factory grease on it. Everything's sticking to that. Factory grease seems to hold up forever and be awesome, so why would I clean it off for no reason? So, what? I couldn't get the chain to drop down, but it does drop down just fine. Okay, weird narrow-eyed magic. Oh yeah, this chain's too long. No tension at all. At minimum, this one link out. I think that'll be fine to start. Handy dandy chain pin tool. Oh yeah, there's like 2 or 3 millimeters of gap now between this cage. See if it shifts, see if that gap stays in every year. At least the 8-speed chain shifted nice. This one's being a butthead. Up here it's almost rubbing. That's what we're worried about. It's acting a little grumpy. I might try and align this little red dangler like we were talking about. Maybe I just needed to break in a little teeny bit. Knock off a burr on a tooth or something. Seems fine now. Nice, spacious, not rubbing on anything. I've never really mixed and matched chains that much. Always kind of use the number of speeds of the shifter and the cassette because I'm real anal and weird about a lot of rules and not about some other rules, but God, maybe I'll use a 10-speed chain on everything from now on. That's a lie. I found I build a lot of bikes with TA cranks, or Velo Orange chain rings, or TA chains with a 50.4 real small BCD, so you can do with real compact doubles and things. And I found the chainring spacers on those mean a lot. And you can't just use some old 6-speed cranks. The 10-speed chain will fall in between them sometimes. You gotta take spacers out. The Velo Orange spacers that come on their cranks are too narrow for 9 and 10-speed stuff. You have to use your TA spacers. I'd mix match Velo Orange hardware with TA space, vintage TA spacers, modern TA rings. Modern, I mean, I think in the 2000s they remade them for a few years and they're still floating around. And modernish cranks use a lot of Sun XCD cranks. I use some old Stronglight 490s and old TAs, you know, from the 50s and 60s. And some spacers matter. The front little narrow wide's a little noisy in the easiest or lowest gear in the back. It's a little cross-chaining, it's not so bad. It might pop off. We might go smaller bottom bracket eventually. We might try it like this. We might try it like this. If it gives us problems, then we'll come back and align the staying order and change out pulleys and blah, 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 do all the nerdy stuff. I kind of want to get it built and see if where it's threw the brake lever off. Yep. It's alright, KMC 10-speed chain might be for the win. Might work. It's got tension. It's probably not gonna throw the chain. Oh, you know what would be kind of nice, but I don't have, let's say for bikes like this, Shimano makes a dark gray, XTR gray, or Dura Ace gray. That'd be kind of cool on this. Instead I got silver. Keep the bike a little lighter. The black, darken this build up a little bit, but I don't know, man. I really don't like the black. I really want to make this bike lighter. This is too dark for the silver. That is not the right silver. This is the right silver. I don't know. I really think the silver is the right thing for most bikes most of the time. Make them look a little lighter, but it also makes them look a little cheesier. I got no black on this. I got a little bit of black. I was thinking about doing more black accents, but coulda, woulda, shoulda. Could use a black hanger. Definitely had black pulleys that would work. Tried to use a black headset spacer, but I didn't have one that was skinny enough. I'm just going to be boring and go black. It's fine. Might be a lie. I might be going silver. Oh my god. Annoy! I found a loop of indexing XTR gray. Oh, I do like it. But I don't have any brake. I mean, I could go down to the bike shop and buy brake housing. Put it off till later. I also want some red dust caps I might order. Still couldn't find the red jam nuts. I know there's somebody I follow on Instagram who sells them for way too much money. I'm going to pay $8 for some Presta jam nuts. Maybe. Gosh, I want it and I don't know why. Oh, they might have some at the salvage sales they'll sell me. I doubt it, but I could ask. That's what I want, let's do it. Who cares? We'll figure it out later. Won't finish this video today anyways. You can always do the dynamo setup and stuff. Now, I've been getting a lot of used or new, but like, you know, old cables. And it is hard to tell the difference. I don't want to use galvanized cables. It rains every day here. They'll rust, they'll seize really fast. It's hard to tell the difference between galvanized and stainless. This one is a lighter silver and it looks galvanized, or this is a darker silver and they look stainless. But I don't know if that's true. I'm going to try this magnet, this lighter silver one. And it's got a kind of strong magnetic effect. But these ones I think are stainless have the exact same effect. It's cheap stainless. Good stainless has almost no magnetic effect. It's nice about buying your own housing in bulk. You just order the stainless and the box comes marked stainless. I'm guessing this is the stainless. We'll see. I got 2 brakes. These weird Tektro brakes take a road mushroom lever head instead of... Uh-oh. I can't use that. Instead of the barrel head. This says Campy on it. I don't want to waste a Campy cable. Campies have a slightly smaller head, and you really don't want to be stuffing Martha's Muffin. You really don't want to be stuffing the oversized heads in there because they can freeze real easy. So I have to find a different one of these. But we're only messing with the shift right now anyways to this bike shifting. In worst case, I must put some black brake housing in and then change it over to gray when I get around remembering to get it. I want to make sure this is long enough. Cables, if you buy them in the box in bulk, basically only come, one length, which is like extra long. Not like tandem long, but like long. But when you get random ones in kits, they often come short for a front derailleur. Yeah, this is like probably too short, bro. I mean, this actually might just do it if I cut my cables real tight. Which is what you're supposed to do on hot XTR stuff or Dura stuff or whatever. Let's find out. This is one long piece of shift. Doesn't say Shimano on it. Maybe it does somewhere, I'm just not seeing it. Doesn't say Jaguar, so who knows? Maybe it's Campy, God. But it's that XTR color I'm going for, I cut them a little short. It's going to annoy me, but that's what all the bros like. A little shorter, even. Come back here, let's cut this one short, too. I'm going to take these to my grinder. Just give them a little boop, boop, boop. Make sure they're real flat and nice on all 4 sides and ends. Got my trusty pokey tool. Make sure they're open. I do this really after the grinding, especially. Make sure those little internal rubber sleeves don't melt, seal shut, make it almost impossible to poke your cable through. Get all frustrated and think bikes are hard to work on. Alright, buzzed them down. Switched around, came back. You don't want to get them hot and melt. Make sure they're all perfectly square and flush. Building a bike for housing I don't have. It's crazy. Here's my little kit. This little kit I got at a garage sale that had some barrel adjusters and cable tips in it, and I grabbed it and I've just been adding more and more and more to it. As time goes on, I'm going to see if we can find all the stuff I need. One weird step down guy like this. This one's kind of a lot. Oh, I think I see an oldie style one. Pretty minimal. Little crust. And maybe I'll dig around and find some other ones I need. What I really need is the plastic shift ends. I really hate the plastic. What I really want is metal 4mm shift ends. But I don't know if I actually have any. Some brass ones. Got a handful of stuff I think might work. Got a bitchin' red cable narp because, this bike's all red. Here's my single red valve cap. Got 2 golds, 2 grays, 2 blues, 1 red. I ordered some more off eBay. Probably more than I paid for this whole kit. Oh. Let's see if any of this stuff fits the way we want. It's loosey-goosey. We can put a little wrap of electrical tape in there. That fits. That's M4. Nice. Ooh. So this thin, crappy black metal M4 actually fits inside this perfectly. Like a little adapter almost. I'm into that. Through the built-in bottom bracket guide. Through there. Come on, baby. And we are inches too short. Inches. It's not even poking out. Might have to find a different shift cable. It's a brand new one, but it's just came with some kit. It's just too short. Just too short. Just too short. Can we make this 2 inches shorter? I mean, not really. I mean, maybe, but this is really where it needs to be. I'm gonna go dig. Alright, so the one I pulled out is the one in my left hand. I found a new one. It's my right hand. Oh, the left hand one's also got a smaller head. I wonder if it's French. Or it's probably campy. Start labeling that stuff. But I pulled it out, I went all the way down, and look at that. The new one is like 6 inches longer than the old one. And my foolish butt mixed them up, the longer one. The longer one was the one I already had. I got sick of digging through all the used shift cables and random ones that may or may not be new, and I found one in the packaging. It says it's stainless right on it. Cool. Slick. No friction. 2,700 millimeters. I think that's the normal size. I found another one that's like 3,100. But that's extra long for like tandems and stuff. I don't want to waste that one. Let's see if this guy's long enough. It's also dual-headed, which is funny. So it's for cheapo bikes. This seems insanely long and totally long enough. I gotta cut the wrong head off. Using already cut cables can be a way bigger pain in the butt. We'll see. Sometimes this end wants to fray instead of go through all nice and smoothie. And it's already starting to do that. It's trying to twist and fray and not go in its home. Go in your home. Beautiful. Oh, it's gonna be so long. Oh my god, look at this. This is like 2 feet longer than I need. This is perfect. Tight, tight. I need a dummy pedal. Shift, bro. There we go. This is still really like touching that cage, man. I really probably could handle a bigger cassette. That's fun. But yeah, it looks like it's golden on the bottom. It's just too tight up here, just right here. Chain is rubbing the housing. I think I can get one washer in. So if I pull these off, put one washer on this side or the right side of both of these pulleys so we can get 1 more millimeter spacing. Also, maybe I should try aligning just this little red dangler and see if that changes anything. So maybe with the dropout alignment, maybe the dangler is a little weird. Park pliers, fun. I just popped some generic plastic cheap BMX pedals on. Give me something to hold on to, give me something to test ride it. While I work up the courage to order expensive red anodized stupid pedals. Which are probably too much. I think it's black ones with some red buttons. Or, you know, something a little more subtle. So I got this set of recessed nut, long reach, Tektro R559s. These have some pads and holders in them. These pads have like 10 miles on them. They're probably fine. I'm not going to use them. I'm going to pop them off because the local dude who sold me these also kicked down some super light machined out Cool Stop pad holders and some new pads, which I ended up using on a different project, but I have some other new pads. I'm going to pop in here. I got these from the community cycling cell, salvage cell, a set of Dura 2 pads and a set of Dura type pads. So these are older pads. They're very similar. The Dura 2s look totally flat, and these Duras have like a little bit of a lip on the back to make them squeal or help you set it in tow or something. I don't know. We'll see, but I'll save these nice pads and hardware and I'll clean them up while I use them on something else. I thought about just sanding them out and just trying, but I got the cool pad holders. It'd been easier just to use these, but it's cooler to use the cool ones. Pop the back brake on, got the new pads in these holders, taking a little 80 grit and scuffing the gloss off of these pads. Be gone, double gloss. This doesn't actually, take the pad down at all. It's not wearing it out. It's just get rid of the high gloss, like the outer finish that's going to make it squeak and squeal and leave skid marks on the rim that'll squeak and squeal. Brake pads are left and right. They're often labeled left and right. Make sure you put them on left and right. Make sure you... One of these brakes was missing its washer. One of it was missing the little bolt to hold in the pad. Like, dude, people and hardware are just impossible. So many people... I cannot tell you, every single time I ever bought something from a swap meet and not checked it out, they're like, oh yeah, it's complete. And I was like, all busy. I'm like, cool. Always missing the most important parts. Little pieces of hardware that are irreplaceable that you could not get at a hardware store if you like depended on it. You couldn't get digging around at bike shops. The hardware's either on something's complete or it's completely and totally missing from every single part that's sitting around. Like proprietary bolt barrel adjusters or weird nuts, proprietary bolts. Like, keep your stuff together, man. Put it in a Ziploc, make sure it's all there, double check, and then it'll be ready for you. Instead, just going and trying to sell it at a swap meet or something. All mangled and missing, like a big jerk. Back brake's all on and roughed in. I'm going to do the same thing with the front brake. I'm going to make my life harder by installing this big dumb VO rack that probably won't fit on this bike very well at all. Probably be all kinds of problems. Like, looks like it might clear the crown race and not rub it. It's definitely going to touch the top of this brake arm. It's really kind of made for something with candy bosses. I might see if I have a different bracket someplace, a little more clearance. What I'll probably do is take this bracket off, bolt it on the brake, bolt the whole brake on, and then we'll hold this up when the front wheel's on the ground and level. And then we'll see how this bracket has to bend around the brake to even see if it'll work at all. Seems like a plan. I'm gonna look at some other bracket hardware too. Alright, got the front brake loosed on. I took this bracket off the front rack and clamped it in the vise and just sort of bent it up and over a little bit so it clears this brake. You can grab it later on with a wrench or something and kind of put pinch marks in it, flatten it out, bend it any way we need. So I put this bike on the ground, but it does have a level top tube, so I don't really need to put it on the ground. We just need to get the top tube pretty level, and then we can play. Ha-ha! That looks pretty level. I was going to put the front wheel in, but you don't really need the front wheel in either. It's going to clear. So this only has eyelets on the back, so this rack's going to sit close, bro. It's about perfect. I don't think I'll be able to bend it about here, where there's several holes drilled into it for lining up with these holes, and kind of bend it the last one to get this level. But to make this easier, we are going to bolt it on. Going to need a spacer under each side. Press to valve jam nuts usually work awesome for that. Everyone's got a bunch. So I have some options for the press to valve jam nuts. I just have some regular ass ones. Probably won't be thick enough. I might need to double them up. I've also got a weird thickie. It's got a lip on both sides. Maybe it'll be enough. Maybe this lip will be right in the way. Maybe it'll be too big. Maybe it'll be too small. Maybe it'll be totally dumb. I don't know. Maybe. We'll try it. I grabbed some old used bolts. I usually like to use new ones, but I'm working with what I got. They're a little crusty. They have a cool bigger head and they're domed. I'm going to use these old bolts. I'm going to assume it's going to go all the way in the bottom position. Assume that press to valve jam nuts next. So bolt, rack, spacer, and into the frame. These bolts might not be long enough. I really actually like, especially in front racks and baskets, things get tension and tweaked on. I like to use a bolt that's too long so I can get a nylock lock nut on the back. So these might not be long enough, but we'll use them to play with this time anyways. This bike was nice to have clean paint, maybe I tape it off or bend this rack open a little bit or do something to kind of make sure I didn't scrape any of the paint. But it doesn't, and that's nice for me to fight it. You jerk. I could also just bolt it on the top and then bend it down to try and reach there, but it's going to have to move back and forth to get it level. Put it on the top at the wrong angle, the rack will sit all dumb. You know, that's cool if that's what you want out of life. It is not what I want out of life. On Brad attack. This rack is not light. I got the one thicky spacer in here. You can always do this with 4 or 5 washers on each side if you want, but that's really uncool. One nice spacer that fits. A secret trick I used to use all the time at the old shop, that people always freak out about and ask where I got them, was I had a lot of stainless steel spacers and aluminum spacers. And they don't sell them anywhere. You can't get them in the bike industry. They're not a bike part. I was going to eBay and buying stainless steel beads for 1/4 inch holes, which is about an M6. M5s, M6s both work great. And you can get them really cheap. Bike spacers are like $2 to $4 a piece. It's insane. Or for like $5, you know, I was getting bags of like 10 or 20 of these stainless steel beads. Ugh, that's a little tight and crust in there. It's full of dried grease or maybe some old Loctite. Hopefully I'm not just stripping these threads. I never liked Loctite for that because you can't get a real feel for it. Looks alright. Will this clear? Ooh, these thick washers, I think, are gonna clear it fine and give me like a whole millimeter. So that rack won't be rubbing on the fork. And these bolts are like just too short. Probably can't really get a nylock on there. So I might change these bolts out later for ones that are slightly longer. But this has given us our good start. And this rack wants to be a little crooked. Maybe it's just that. Yep. So that center bracket pushing against it. It's a little trickier to start things when they're under tension. Step back. This still looks totally flat. This needs to come out. Totally flat. And totally flat. So I'm happy where it is. This bracket is rubbing the rack. And I got like a good 1/4 inch gap up here. So I'm gonna bend it up. And then bend this part down. You can do this with a tool if you don't want to break your poor little fingies. This out of the way a little bit. I want you to come up and come up. I want you to get flat. Problem is it's got pre-drilled holes, so I can actually only get it so close, like here, which is maybe a degree down. I can come back to here. Which is pretty flat. I want to say a degree up, but it's not. It looks really flat and nice. We're going for it here, Broham. Now the trick with a lot of these racks is it's just a round threaded boss brazed on here. There's no hole in the tube. So even pretty short water boss bolts are actually too long. So you actually have to get the 6 mil bolts, which are really just for like under bottom bracket guides. If you don't have those, we're gonna have to use a spacer. Luckily, I have some more Presto jam nuts. They're M6, so they'll slide right over to M5, so this will be space ors. And hopefully it'll be spacer enough. If I had fenders or something, I'd use the right fender, make sure it wasn't hitting or clearing. Sometimes I'll drill a hole in the fender and bolt it right to the rack. I really like doing that. I like hard mounting your fenders, like I would call them, so they don't rattle and come loose. Having as many points of contact as possible is awesome. I think that'll tighten up and be completely cool. Little M4, little M4. This rack only has 3 points of contact. I hate that. The Soma ones, like the more modern version, brazed on an extra little loop here, like a flat piece of metal with a hole in it. So you have an extra point of contact to come and hose clamp on here or mount to a candy boss. I really appreciate that about Soma. I really wish Velo Orange would do it. After this bike's all done and on the ground, well, it's only 3 points. It's really easy to grab and tweak and make it look straight. But it also means, you know, pay attention when you overload it or ram it into stuff or lean it against bike racks by the rack and fall into your bike drunk, that you might have to do some other tweaking. I am going to get I have like the blue one for the special Schwinn. It's a red one on Temu, keeps selling out. I think there's one right now. Red, bright red bungee cargo rack with reflective material woven in. I think that'll give it kind of a bright red anodized look. I used that, I had one, but I used it on a friend's bike. We did sort of a little red tweaky build on. So we'll get one of those. I'm also going to mount the dynamo on here. I'm going to do it probably off of this bolt. This bolt will get changed out. I'll make a custom dynamo light hanging thing. I did on nothing special Schwinn. I used an old brake arm, cut it and filed it, so it's like half of a brake arm coming down. I will probably do that on this as well. They do make some pre-made ones, like Velo Orange has one, but they're really flimsy. And your light's like, blah. It feels a little schizophrenic to me. So I like an old brake arm. It takes a few seconds to cut down. It's free and it's stiff. While the bike's pretty level, I got this titanium railed Terry seat. I have a couple of them. This one's a little more modern, a little wider, a little more squishier. It's got a relief. I've never ridden a seat with a relief because, you know, they're for girls or old man or something, but I'm going to give it a shot. Maybe I'll love it. I can't ride tie. I'm too heavy. I'll probably bend this. Luckily, it didn't cost me anything because I'm going to bend it. I also have another one. I have the old Fly Buzz Off, which is like their men's saddle. So, you know, I can try that, or I can keep looking for a Terry saddle that is all the things I want and doesn't have any tie. So we can try and ride it and see if we can ride it without bending it. I've bent every aluminum, manganese, tie. I've bent some saddles, bro. This has a little weird stoppy duder in the front. I think it's stopping my dude. I need this not only level, but a little bit upright. I want the front a little higher than the back. That lets your whole body weight shift back and get your sit bones on the saddle where they belong. Most people believe the opposite. They think the front's stabbing you, therefore you have to aim them way down. That's totally crazy. It's a real amateur move. You want them aimed up, not down. What you really need to do is get it aimed up, your sit bones sitting here, and then lower your seat height until your body weight stops sliding forward. You can actually balance on the back. Everyone wants their seat as high as possible because they think it makes them faster. And that's probably true, actually, but there we go. It's probably close-ish. Probably adjusted once it's on the ground. And cool. I just don't want that to wiggle out. I still have this little dented top tube cable guide. These are often dented from his pelvis is jumping down or falling off their saddle or whatever. I'm gonna find some punches. Sometimes I just use a little Allen wrench. We'll gently go in there and just kind of lift up on it a few times, changing the angle, trying to re-round it, and open it up so we can get some housing through it without breaking it. And I broke it, bro. That sucks. I've done this 1,000 times and never broken one. Till this time. That does suck. So that's there to destroy your pant legs. I'm going to do something tacky. It's not really tacky. Once I do the brake cable and housing, I'll put a layer of electrical tape around it. And then I'll use a top tube pad or have some weird Chinelli bar tape. Maybe I'll wrap a layer around that. Like a lot of guys do that in the stay to keep them from getting all chunky. We'll have to do that to protect that. If I ever feel like I need to repaint this bike or whatever, change the brazons, I'll get rid of all 3 of these and put one set of split stops down here. What I like to do them pretty low in the tube, but not on the bottom, a little cockeyed so they don't grind on your pant leg. So everything's out of the way. God, I've never done that before. That's a bummer. I usually just re-round right out. Wonder if these are some sort of weird cast thing instead of, you know, a little tube or whatever. I don't know. Instead of some little piece of steel. Not the end of the world. I'm not going to care. I'm going to wrap it. just so it doesn't tear up my pants.